start, Miss Addison. So have you and Mr. Mathis ever been married?
No, we have not.
All right.
80 today, Rochelle.
And again, I'm taking notes too while we're doing this and looking at other screens. So if it looks like I'm looking down, I promise I'm still listening. I'm just also making sure I am noting everything that I need to. Okay. So y'all have a child together, is that right?
Yes,
Did you ever live together?
we did for a short period of time.
Baby daddy.
How often do you go to the
And when is the last time
barber,
y'all
Your
lived
Honor?
together?
Maybe it was how many years ago? It was well over 5 years ago.
Okay. And how long have you known him to not live in Georgia?
Let me see. It was right before, I guess, COVID. He said it was leaving. About 3 or 4 or 5 years.
Okay. All right. So, tell me what prompted you to file this petition.
I heard her voice, instant
Well, just
rage.
over the years since we started, you know, he always picked and choose what children he wanted to have. Everything I tried to do, he just never agreed with it. So I ended up leaving. And he always tells me he's going to try to win. And I understand what he's trying to win because I never kept the children from him. I always tried to, I guess, too much, put the children in his life. So I tried the co-parenting thing. He would come to the home. First thing, he went straight up to my room without, you know, any knowledge or any wanting from me. He just went straight upstairs and knocked on the door, pushing over a chair and stuff.
Damn.
And then went in my kitchen.
So let me stop you then. Around when was that?
About 2 or 3 years ago.
So that was 2 to 3 years ago.
Knocking over
You're saying
furniture.
he was there for a child exchange or something?
No, he'd only visit the
Soon.
children when he comes in town
promise.
for work.
So what was he at your house for at that time?
I guess he was in town for work and he had time to come by and visit his children.
Okay, so he was coming by to visit the children.
And
you
knock
didn't-
over his
did you
least
know he was
favorite
coming?
chair.
Oh, I didn't know he was in town for work. He only communicates with the children. So, you know, I don't know until he's at the door.
Okay. So he was there. He shows up. And where were you?
I let him in, so I let him be with the children. So I went upstairs so he could have his time with the children.
Okay, and what happened?
Well, the first time he just came upstairs, barged in my room, barged in my bathroom, knocking over a chair, downstairs in my kitchen, pushing chairs over. Then he runs up, my kids end up running upstairs. So he runs over there and tries to act like the good dad, which he's been telling me for years that he wants to act like the good dad. So,
Good dad.
and I don't know
Was
why
he saying anything when the chairs were being pushed over?
like he'll say little smart things to me, but then he'll like laugh and oh hey kids, you know, then try to act differently in front of them.
I don't think she said
Okay.
yet, JJ.
So, what happened next?
The second time, well, I have him stay outside. Excuse me, I'm kind of
And
nervous.
around when was this? The second time?
I don't know. It's just whenever he comes in town for work. I've been trying to like do the parenting thing for years, asking for emails, you know, when you want to come and get the kids. So he just takes them when he wants to, you know, like every spring break. That's the only time he has them.
Makes him stay
And, like I
outside.
can never get spring break because he
Yeah.
wants to take them
Tent
when
up
he
or
wants to. So it's just
So,
whenever
but
he,
let me ask this before we get any part. So
Because it was her
has there
favorite
been
chair,
any
JJ.
final legitimation order involving the children?
no, he
Okay.
took me, I got court papers one time that he wanted custody, but he didn't show up.
Well,
Okay.
wow.
And I do see a dismissal, I think.
He
in
was
the
busy
system.
somewhere knocking over
Um,
chairs. He had no time.
So at this point, he has no legal rights to physical or any kind of custody of the children this time. So you're letting him have this contact with the children at this time, is what you're telling me?
Well, in the past, because I was trying to do the co-parenting thing,
Mhm.
you know, I was waiting for years for the email to say, okay, what, when do you want to take them? And he just never did that. So, you know, I kind of had to keep pulling back and pulling back. Now he just does every spring break, and I never can have spring break because it's like, well, I'm taking them. I'm like, okay,
Have you ever told him? Have you ever told him that you told him no?
Pursue 101.
I have told him no, but then
Check
it
'em
causes
out.
controversy with the children because he says I'm taking you. So
Okay. So this date that you're unsure about of the second incident you're about to tell me, was this a lot like
Banned from
years
IKEA.
ago, months
Mhm.
ago?
well, I'll just say like the latest incident is when my daughter had what is it, senior night. She's a dancer for the band.
Do you
And
remember
we're-
what grade she was in?
The 12th grade was this past November. Actually.
Okay, that's what I need.
School
November
band.
of 2022.
Oh,
Yes.
man.
Okay.
No, they had
Go
that.
ahead.
And we're over there walking on the field. I always ask him, he was, ask me for a ride and all these other things. I'm like, why don't you have your own car? Like, why can't you get your own rides to where you need to be? Why do you keep depending on coming to my house all the time?
So he was there.
Yes.
Did you know he was going to be there?
No, actually, I did not till the night before.
Okay, but the night before you knew he was going to be there. And here's what I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask
Mhm.
that while the other party's testifying, I understand these are very difficult
I hope not.
hearings and very difficult situations for everyone involved. But I really need the parties for this court process to be respectful and not reactionary to what the other party is saying. Shaking heads, smiling, I'm not taking that into consideration, and it
Yelled
can
at
actually harm
already.
your case.
I
So
didn't
I need
see
the
him
parties
doing
to
any of
be
that.
as
Really?
civilized towards each other as we can during this process. Okay. All right. So go ahead. So you're at the senior night. The night before he shows up and says he's going to be there. Okay. What happened?
Actually, he didn't tell me. The kids just told me. I guess, there's been friction, going on because I told him, he keeps coming closer and closer. And if you ever hear me screaming, like, come out there. So we, at senior night, going out on the field, and he takes his fist and puts it like in between my legs as we're walking out. And then he jumps to the side like that. So I turned around, and of course, my daughter trying to calm me down. Oh, no, mom, he's looking like the good parent again. So we're walking on the field.
Love to
I'm
be
hurt.
yelled at, though.
We go back to the house. The kids
When you
come
say
out.
you're hurt, how are you hurt?
Well, it just hurt. I guess whatever he did all up in there like that. I don't know what he did, scratch the side. I've still been like slightly, I'm going to the doctors. I've been bleeding ever since.
So you're
then.
saying it was physical pain?
Yes.
What?
And
Yes.
this is when everybody's on the field?
Yeah, we're lining up, ready to go walk my daughter down on senior night.
Okay. And did anybody else see what happened that you're aware of?
I'm sure people saw it. I haven't gone around to see, the football. I turned around when it happened. All the football players were standing there. I didn't ask anyone else, like, and go around and say, well, hey, did
Hit her in the
see
crotch?
that or anything yet? But, if I have to, I will.
Is that what she was saying?
Yeah.
Well, there's nobody here today. I'm
Okay.
asking what your evidence today is.
He fisted her between
Okay.
the legs.
So that was before y'all walked out on the field?
Yes.
Okay. And so what happened, if anything?
Got like a
No, we just
rollerball,
walked really fast. We were just being drug along, actually. So then at the end, we took pictures and I was done. And then we get back to the house. I told him you have to stay in the garage. When you come here, when's your ride? Come here. I want you to leave here. So the
No idea
kids
what that
come
is,
running
but
out
so-
again. And then he does it in front of the kids, touch me again. So I had to say in front of my children.
So when you say he touched you again, exactly what are you saying?
the same place, put his hand, not mushed it as much, but
Uh-huh.
he put his hand up there again, right in front of the children. So I had to say it out loud so they get some kind of realization of what's going on. Stop touching me.
Punch her in the cooter. I don't give a
Okay.
damn.
I've never
Right,
heard
what
that.
happened?
Like just a fist punch.
No, he just turned around and try to push him further and further out my home. I stayed way, way far him, and then I asked him to go stand by the curb. Please I said it a million times, get out of my house. And then he went to go stand by the mailbox, put his phone on my mailbox, and I guess he got his ride home.
Very T, yes. The last
Did you
case
physically
anyway.
push him out of the house?
No.
Okay. Did you tell him to not come to your house anymore after that?
Did I? I think so. Don't come back here anymore. Yes, because I do not want him to come back.
Have you called the police for any of these incidents?
Well, the police had came to the house because there have been incidents before that. So, what happened? So my children, which I don't even want to tell him information in front, but we're just like safe
Terrible.
right now. And I've moved and they're kind of on watch.
But are there any incidents involving him that the police have been called for?
No.
Okay.
Well, they're aware of what happened. That's why the children were in the home and why it exploded and all these different things.
Who's aware of what happened?
I guess the investigator, a police investigator who came to the home.
Okay. In response to you calling them?
Yeah, I did call them. Well, this
About
wasn't
what?
just on that night. Oh, just on different nights. Like,
Don't matter in this court.
he's always set up things to have them, how do you say? Like to be the good dad. And then when I get to, because they won't listen to me, they'll do different
flipping
things.
over the chairs.
And then when I explode, like, just everyone get out of my home, he hurries up, get out the home. Your mom's crazy. She's this, she's that. So I'm like, what are you guys doing? So that's the night I called because he sent an Uber to my home. And that's when the police came over and wrote all this stuff down.
Wow.
Around when was that?
That was maybe a little bit time before that, maybe 2 or 3 months before that. I can gather the dates and all that.
When you say he sent an Uber to your home, for what purpose was your understanding?
I guess he wanted to take the kids to wherever he wanted to send them to.
Okay. All right. So what happened, if anything, after that senior night incident?
Watch her not take it.
Nothing since then. That's when I called the Women's Center and been going through this process ever since.
So when you work out, how do the kids go on these trips, or how does this happen when you have the kids?
She said not too long.
Yeah.
He just says, we're going out the country and all this, that, and the other. Has on me all these demands. Go get this and that. And I'm saying, I'm not supposed to be responsible for that. You're taking them out of town. You do it. He tries to send other people in place for him, like his brother mainly. He tries to always send the kids there. So he tries to send his brother in, get all their social security cards and information. I done have let them go because they're like, can't understand, well, why can't I go? So
Gary,
how did we do it? He just comes, pick them up. He doesn't come inside,
Okay. And do you tell him he can come inside, or
No, I told him he cannot come inside my
All right.
home.
And has he come inside your home after you've told him not to?
Well, this last time for senior night, it was kind of peculiar because I didn't know. And he's like peeking through the window, like, where you at? And I'm like, well, what's going on? I didn't know that he was going to be here.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you would like the court to know?
Not at the moment. I do have like text messages of all the things that have been said to me. Last time he was here, he did come to my new place. I told him he could not come inside.
Around when was that?
When was this?
Yes,
This
Matt. We know what we're doing.
was, January,
100%.
on January 19th. It was my daughter's birthday. And I told them he is not allowed to come to my home. And she responded to me, well, he's here visiting his children. And I said, that does not matter. If he's here visiting his children, he cannot come into my home. So we stayed outside here. We keep getting packages of his leftovers upstairs and in the house. I even had my daughter, why we keep getting his meal. And then we're talking, I'm talking to my daughter outside because he's.
So hold on, he's getting food delivered to your house?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess they go out to eat and his leftovers kept ending up upstairs twice. I don't know how, but they did.
Okay.
What?
When you said packages, what is that you're talking about?
No, that's a package.
He's having his
no, I
leftovers
meant his
delivered
food
to the
packages.
house?
Sorry,
Okay.
his
food.
leftovers. Yes.
Okay. So when you said that on January
Leftovers
19th he
delivered
came,
to the house?
you told him, or you
What?
told your daughter he's not allowed inside?
Well, he said, well,
You're
your
inside?
father's in town. Or he said, my dad's in town. I
Done
said,
with
well,
his
did
cold
you know that
orgasm,
this
take it
time,
off.
neither
I
the children
didn't know.
or I usually just communicates with them. And she didn't know he was going to be in town either. And he just asked to pick her up from school. I said, okay, he can pick her up from school, but he cannot come inside my home, as usual. And she said, well, yes, you can. You can use with the kids. I said, no, we cannot,
Who is
And
this
then-
you're talking to?
My oldest daughter. And then I guess by the time he was about to leave, he was outside with my youngest daughter. He takes the phone from her on her phone and he's saying, well, you still want me and all these other things. And I'm like, no, I do not.
Okay. right.
Well, if you saw the last case that.
So did he stay
before you
outside
were
like
here.
asked on that date on the 19th?
Yes.
Okay.
But I really didn't even want him even at the door of my new place at all.
Have you told him to not come to your residence?
I told my daughter he doesn't speak with me or respond to me.
Okay. Have you told him though not to come to your place?
Oh, I didn't call him that day because I didn't know he was in town. I didn't on that day per se. But my kids, you know, they always talk with him. So tell your dad he can't come here because he doesn't listen to me.
Okay.
I'd like to set up
All right,
several people's leftovers show up at my
All right.
house.
Do you have any witnesses or any other evidence you would like me to hear from?
No, not at the moment.
Okay.
Oh,
All right. So,
Note taking is
sir,
done.
you will have a chance to fully let the court know what you want me to know. Do
Don't
you have any
blink, you'll
specific
get
questions
yelled at.
though about what she has testified to that you would like me to ask her?
No questions.
Okay.
Just-
Oh,
All right.
interesting
So what would you
strategy.
like the court to know at this time about what has been alleged?
Please be brief. 1 minute.
First of all, I would like to apologize, Judge. It's difficult for me to hear these accusations when it's just untrue. All of it is fabricated.
He knocked a chair over,
I'll just
JJ.
start from the beginning. I
punched her
took
in the-
Oh,
notes,
and
actually.
let me say this just so the parties know. I'm narrowly looking. So this is not
I don't give a damn.
family court case. This is whether acts of family violence have been committed against her. So issues with visitation and disagreements
about
about that
leftovers and
generally are not
and we're already
why
getting
we're here. So I'm looking at information
It's
about
already
whether there have been acts of family violence in the
hammered
past
out.
and whether they'll occur in the future. So I might redirect people towards that if we get too far off base. And just so you know, since there is no legitimation, technically you don't at this
let you
point
know, I'm gonna
have
shut
any
you down real soon.
legal rights
Two very quick
to the
things.
children at this
It's
time
the rest
until
of it.
there is a final legitimation order.
Two
She
fists.
didn't say a
Um,
word about it.
But just having that in place, tell me what you would like the court to know about any factual allegations about acts of family violence that have been occurred or anything about the coming in the house and things like that you would like the court to know.
So I've lived in Las Vegas since 2017. That's how long I've been here. As far as me coming, I travel. I'm a video engineer. I travel. Some of my work is out of town. I sometimes have work that's in Atlanta. On the day that she spoke about with me coming to the house, I usually try to keep everything cordial, and because she's the mother of my children. So I have a sense of respect for her. Like, she's given me my two most prized joys in life. So it never was, never will be any acts of violence whatsoever. When I came down the day that she spoke about, when I came to the house, she knew that I was in town. I always come to the house to visit the kids. I pick them up, we go out, we have dinner, we go out and play, go see different movies, just different activities, just a father spending time with his kids. Nothing wrong with that. This one particular day when I came to the house, she's just recently put these barriers where, don't come to the house, because she's upset that when I come to the house, I make comments like, hey man, this house smells like smoke. It smells like cannabis throughout the entire house.
Ooh.
Could you not do that in the house? Could you not do that around my children? That's the reason why I came up the one day to her room, and I didn't kick over anything. There was no need for me to kick over anything. I knocked on the door. She answered the door. She barricaded herself in the bathroom because she was smoking. And I let her know, like, hey, the window that you have cracked
Anybody
in your
paying attention to
bathroom,
all the facial
the little
expressions she's making? By the way,
towels underneath the door, it's not doing anything. The entire house smells like smoke. I don't want our children to be subjected to, bad habits. That was the day that she was talking about. She didn't appreciate the fact that I told her that. So that really angered her. Another thing that I wanted to say, as far as legitimacy, I took a flight to Atlanta because this was the first time that she kicked my children out the house. She kicked them out of the house. I had to buy a ticket to get down there as soon as possible because my kids were homeless. I had to arrange for them to find a place to stay. I got to Atlanta and I went down to the offices because you have to file for legitimacy in the state where your children reside. And that's what I did. I filed for legitimacy. I never heard anything back. I don't know if the legitimacy petition, if it was mailed to the wrong address, never heard back from that. The next thing that I heard was that I was on child support because evidently whoever at the offices contacted her to let her know that I was filing for legitimacy. She put me on child support. That was the legitimacy case. It was never mailed to the correct address. I never received anything, no emails, nothing. So I just found out today that they had dismissed that legitimacy back in September. I would like to refile for that as well. As far as me coming down in November, I'm sorry, in January 19th is my daughter's birthday. It was her 18th birthday.
Happy birthday.
I didn't let anyone know because I wanted to surprise her. I'm just trying to do my best to be the best father in the world. My children mean the world to me. I came down to surprise her for her 18th birthday, give her gifts. Those are the packages that she's speaking of. Take her out to dinner, take both my children out to dinner. Those are the packages that she's speaking of. Judge, I'm glad that you asked certain questions, and I'm just trying to be respectful.
Neither would
Everything she said to you was inaccurate.
Okay,
The
let me ask
reason
you
why-
this. I want to ask you this. The day when has she told you to not come inside the residence at some point?
She just recently did that, like this year or the ending of last year.
Okay. And
She actually did that. I'm sorry to cut you off, Judge.
no, go ahead.
She actually did that on I have notes here. November 11th. I was in Minnesota, out of town on work. My daughter called me in the middle of the night saying that.
Okay, hold on. We can't get into what anybody else has said because that would
That's
be
cool.
hearsay.
Okay. Well, let me say this.
You can say based on a
November-
call from your daughter.
Based on a call from my daughter, she was kicking my children out of the house again.
This
So
is, I
I
thought
had-
the 11th was, what day was senior night?
That was the 19th of January.
Okay. So that was
No,
when,
I'm sorry. Senior night was November 4th. That was November 4th, 2022.
okay. Did anything happen on that day?
I would
How
love to
did-
talk about that. Okay, so as far as her accusations of me physically touching her, Judge, it's not true. I don't know how else to say it. And once again, I apologize for shaking my head or smirking or smiling because it's absurd. It's absurd for me to do or bring any harm to the children, the mother of my children. Nonetheless, do it in front of an arena filled of people at a football game. Nonetheless, to do it on senior night of my daughter's senior final football game, final performance. It's absurd, Judge. Nothing happened, nothing occurred. And that was on November 4th.
not a
Right?
word.
That was
to her.
senior night. I have it marked on
No,
my
she's doing
calendar.
this. She's doing.
If that was the case, then I do have a question. If that took place on November 4th, why did she wait so long to file some type of complaint? That complaint wasn't filed until what, a month later? That doesn't make sense. When she filed the complaint, December 11th is what I have here on my paper here, Judge.
And let me
have-
ask this, because I do need to, is there any criminal case pending?
No.
Okay. So
No, it was never she's never filed anything because there was never anything else to file. I'm not a violent person. All I want to do is love and be around my children. That was it.
Okay.
On the date that she
He's a
filed
lover,
the
Creed, not a
petition
fister.
on the 11th.
Very
here,
well spoken.
Right? On the 11th of December, it says it right here. Judge, I was actually out of
No,
town.
she's in the band. Gary,
Florida
follow along. She's a dancer in the
A
band.
When she filed
dancer
that.
for the band.
So it makes no sense. The reason why she filed is because during the last time that she kicked my children out, I had to arrange for the girls to stay with my brother and her sister.
When was that approximately?
So that's what I was saying. She kicked them out on November 11th, 2022.
What's she doing kicking the kids out of the house?
So during that time, I had to arrange for them to have a place to stay. I had to arrange for them to have means of transportation to and from school. My oldest child, she not only is she a majorette, but she has work that she does as well. Very good kids, Judge. And I had to arrange for them to get back and forth to work.
Well, one's a senior,
Yeah, one's at least 18.
18.
You mute yourself, sir.
Sorry, I was getting a call. Throughout this time, I have to, provide funds for their food expense, their travel expense back and forth, because we have these people that are taking them back and forth to school and to work and to football practice, So I called her one day, shortly after November 11th. I called her after about 2 weeks with the girls being out of her care. And I said to her, Kristen, with you kicking the girls out, I'm having to spend a lot of money for food, for travel, for Uber. All of these things are expenses. I'm still having to pay child support. Maybe I should call, and the kids are not in your care. So I'm going to call child support services and let them know that. And not only that, I'm going to contact DFACS to let them know that this is an ongoing thing with you. This is like the second, maybe third time that you kicked my children out. The last time you did it was in the middle of the night in the winter. I had to have an Uber come pick the girls up in the middle of the night. You prevented them from leaving from the front door. They were forced to exit the house with suitcases and backpacks in the winter, middle of the night, from the basement. They had to go out the basement, walk up that steep hill with all those bags. And then by the time they get to the front curve where the Uber driver's waiting, you come out and you threaten the Uber driver. You try to prevent them from leaving.
Hold on, Go ahead.
Did I say something wrong?
No, I was saying the other party cannot speak while one party is speaking. So So around when was this?
This was the night of November 11th.
What? That was weird.
Oh, I thought you said that was a different time.
Did
I
she
didn't
start
see
talking?
This is November 11th.
I didn't see it or hear it.
November 11th.
Okay.
So what I did,
Ready to
is
pounce
I
out.
told her that I was going to contact DFACS. She didn't like that. That same day, she called the cops and she reported that my children were runaways.
Oh,
And she had the cops come to the schools, both of my children's schools, pull them out of class, and basically had them detained for questioning.
So what happened with that?
As far as them being questioned?
As far as them being reported as runaways, because you said that they had been with, you had been arranging for them for about 2 weeks.
Yes, ma'am. So the cops come out to the school, they were questioned. The officials at the school told me, this was like an all-day thing. They told me that it was nothing that they can do because Kristen is their parent, and they had to release the children back to her custody.
Okay, I didn't
But
see her.
up until that point, the children weren't living with her.
So your testimony is that she had kicked them out
Yes, ma'am.
and you were providing.
Yes, ma'am.
Did
And not only that,
did you let her know that they were with you?
no, they didn't live with me. I live in Vegas.
Well, did you let her know where they were?
Yes, the children let her know. Kristen and I are no longer, we don't communicate.
that's allowed.
It's
Okay.
hard for me to communicate with her because, honestly, Judge, she has mental issues that she's not addressing. I know it's a lot to swallow. It's all over the place, but I'm only telling you the truth. She has mental issues that she's not addressing. And therefore, anyone that's in her life, she's pushed them away. She isolates the kids. She isolates the kids from me, from her side of the family, and my side of the family. So when you heard her say that, oh, I usually have the kids for spring break, that's usually because that's the only time that she allows me to really be with my children for an extensive amount of time.
Okay.
Anytime I want to take them on trips, anytime I'm in town and I want to take them to my brothers, anytime I'm out of town and my brother wants to just be around his nieces, it's always an issue with Kristen. She wants to isolate them from everyone. Those are signs of an abusive relationship. When you find people that want to isolate their loved ones away from their other loved ones,
Okay,
that's signs of an
we're
abusive.
we're getting out of off track here.
Okay.
Tell me what
She
else
forgot
you want me to
that
know
advice
about any
during
allegations
the
that
other
she has made.
testimony, but okay.
All of the allegations that she's made is inaccurate. I've never been a violent person. I've never gone to jail. I don't have a record of being a violent person. My oldest girl, she's of age now. She's 18. I recently told her that I have to go to court and, to resolve this issue. My daughter was livid about the whole situation because she was there and she knows nothing happened.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to give Miss
Does she
Ms.
ask him,
Addison a
hey,
chance
why'd you punch
to
me in the
respond,
groin?
to anything that's been said.
I mean, that would be
Right. Yeah.
my first question.
You're gonna.
Packages he was referring to. I was not talking about the packages of food. I didn't mind that you took your kids out to go shopping. Because actually, I gave those and the gift cards that you went shopping with. That was from me. So she took the gift cards that were from me to go shopping with you. So that's not what I was talking about.
Okay, I need you not to talk to him. I need you to
Okay.
tell me the court what you would want to know, so you can say him and those sort of things.
Yeah, that wasn't the packages I was referring to, as I did correct myself. He's not a physician to say I have mental problems. Defects that did not show no, they were showing up at my house. As we can know, I did go to the counseling session and we do have the results from that. He's not telling the truth about touching me.
So defects did respond?
They
And
did, but
okay.
they set up counseling, which I have been trying to do for years.
So he did get a
Because
hold
I told
of.
it, because I called
like he
defects
said in
right
his
back
job.
on
He told the
defects.
truth
Like he
on
sent
that.
to my house. I
Again,
already
I'm saying
put
this
in
is
the
why we're
child,
here for this
the TPO order before then. I said, I already have the order in. That's what they, and I told her, I already have a TPO order. That's why defects is at my house. Child support was not set up because he sent
And I don't even
defects.
care about child
Okay.
support. Child
All right.
support that's its own thing.
Mhm.
And the court will never consider that to be retaliatory anything. Okay.
Okay.
So tell me, did defects close their case as far as you are aware of?
As far as I'm aware, yes, they closed the case, but now they're helping me because my children
Nothing.
are in counseling, because this is what I was trying to get to. So we know how to deal with the things that he has implemented to make himself look like the good dad for some reason, or saying he wants to win. He has said many of things mentally to me to make me feel lower than anything
hear,
other
baby.
than his children's mother. He's let other women say things to me, as even after my mom has passed. So when I told me, go get your wedding dress, he has said that several times. I do not keep the kids away from their other family, but when their brother, which I feel like girls shouldn't go to their uncle's house, calls for them every week because he's going out of town trying to do whatever he does out of town. My kids shouldn't have to be, if I say no, well, why can't they go? My kids do not need to go to their uncle's house every other week. And I expressed to him, they need to see their father, not their uncle.
Okay, so these are all custody things. And manipulation, unfortunately, on its own is not an act of family violence. Poor co-parenting on its own is not an act of family violence. So I'm very limited here in the stuff I can consider. So what about the time leading up to the 11th when the girls were out of the house for a couple of weeks?
Okay,
Nice.
so yes, it's been to the point where the girls, they haven't listened to me for years because they've always been sent out of the house, over their uncle's house. And I said they need to have a relationship with their mother. Every time I set up to go somewhere, he was like, well, I'm taking them somewhere. Or Thanksgiving, oh, they're coming over my house. Even since we were born, they've never spent Thanksgiving with
Yeah.
me. We've been at his brother's house ever since they've been born. Christmas time has never been with me. They've been somewhere else besides me. So I had no relationship or control with my children. So that's when I started pushing back and saying, hey, like I'm supposed to, no, you cannot go this week. You're failing class. No, you cannot go. I tried to set up tutoring with him. Oh, I pay for this, I pay for that, and I'm not paying your expenses for child to live in the house. I'm like, you only pay $500 a month. What do you think you're paying for? And then he buys them what he wants. He's never taking them to Vegas to see himself.
Okay, so they should go to Vegas.
My oldest daughter is livid because she's tired of it. She's been in the middle of it, and she's been the communicator ever since when? Even when one time where I didn't have a place to stay, he had the kids and wouldn't let me or kicks me out the house whenever he's okay. Their clothes weren't even right. She
Okay.
was a primary, take care of your sister. Get
So
up,
my
take your sister.
question is though about the 11th.
What's this got to do with the family violence?
Were they kicked out of the house?
That's what I told when I told her I blew up and I was like, just everybody get up my house because he's in the other room always on the phone. I never know what's going on. So I just say that general statement, everyone get out my house. Oh, hurry up, girls, go get your clothes, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
And then I'm like blocking the front door. I'm like, okay, can we we never talk. And then go out the back door, never any talking to the mom to see. Or if I say, like the girls, like I used to tell them, okay, you need to clean the dishes, teaching them home things, which like, I'm glad I'm secluding here to try to get them to do women, household things. And they used to get upset and they used to call their father, oh, mommy's making me, like he used to giggle in the background, making me do these things. And instead of him talking to me as an adult, well, what's going on? He would yell at me, well, the daughter said this. I'm like, we're supposed to chastise kids. They're not perfect. And it was always what the kids said all the time.
Okay. So here's where we are. Sorry, I don't need to hear any more at this point. So the evidence that's been presented to me.
Talking about
I am
violence,
unable
yeah.
at this time to find that there's been recent acts of family violence committed by the respondent against the petitioner at this time.
Surprisingly.
The bulk of what I've heard during this hearing is co-parenting disputes and possible manipulation, which is not one of the crimes of acts of family violence I can find.
Happened to me too, Chelsea.
Given the totality of the evidence that I've heard, the different testimony. And I don't, let me say this, when people testify differently, I don't, because I find one way, I try to resolve any conflicting testimony in a way that I do not find someone lied, okay? So it doesn't mean I think someone lied. It means I was unable to reach by preponderance of the evidence, finding a fact that the evidence has occurred. Everyone experiences things
I'm very surprised.
differently sometimes, and that comes across differently. But I have some concerns, and like I said, sir, under the law, you have no legal rights to these children until you have a final order of legitimation in process. That would include a parenting plan. It will resolve a lot of the issues that are coming into place at this time. That being said, the petitioner does not have to allow you to see the children at all. And if you in any way encourage the children to leave or take them out of the house or help them get out of the house, even if you're in Las Vegas, you could be a party to the crime of interference with custody. Okay? So you need to tread very carefully unless and until you get a final legitimation order in place. So I need to make sure you understand that very clearly. Okay? You can talk with an attorney. You've already filed legitimation. You know the process. I need to make sure you understand that.
These kids are almost grown.
She said she doesn't want you coming in the house and just showing up. And I can see how that can be difficult, especially if you're not communicating to each other. But if you go into a house and she has said not to go into that house, you could be arrested for criminal trespass. She may be able to refile, and next time she may have enough evidence when she's before the court. If there's any repeated violations of coming onto her property or all of these things. There has been continued communication back and forth. So I just don't have enough to find by preponderance of the evidence the acts of family violence have been committed.
I don't think they have.
So I'm going to have to dismiss the petition at this time.
Wow.
I would encourage the parties to seek counsel, talk to them about any pending legitimation and what rights are there. But that's the court's ruling at this time, okay? Y'all are excused. If you need to get a copy of the order, you can, and don't get one in the next day or so, you can reach out to the clerk's office and
Yeah.
Okay, so
Right.
this video's going to end, but wow. She did such a bad job, though. I mean, she almost painted the judge in a corner for having to deny this because she did such a bad job presenting this case. I mean, she didn't even really talk much about the Harukin to the vajayjay.
Yeah, the two kind of alleged violence things, which was that and the chairs, and we never really that was just mentioned. Note was taken, and we just kind of move on.
She kind of sounded mental when she was talking about all his leftovers around the house, which he easily explained about. He had took kids out to eat, and they took back leftovers.
The leftovers.
She made it sound like he was having them like, you know, UPS was showing up with his old chilies that he had sent from Vegas or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like I'm having a lot of my leftovers from the last month are going to be delivered today. So get ready.
Them kids is hungry.
So there might be some people in the comments that don't understand. Her thing was denied. So it's not happening, surprisingly. I'm very happy about that because I did not want to go 2-0.
No, not with her.